Previously in X-Men, Madeline Pryor and her friend Jenny Ransom are abducted by agents of the island nation of Genosha, where individuals who exhibit the mutant gene are controlled by the government. While most of the X-Men engage in conflict with the Genoshan paramilitary agents, known as magistrates, Rogue and Wolverine are bested in combat by the Press Gang, subdued and sent to Genosha through a modem. I am Jason Lapidus.
And I'm Chris Sanigan.
And we are a Group of Seven Comics. Welcome to episode 174 of our ongoing live stream read-through of the X-Men comics that became classic, as we read Uncanny X-Men 236 by Chris Claremont, Marc Silvestri, and Dan Green. Cover date of August 1988. Chris, how are you?
I'm good, thanks. Wearing my Canada baseball cap from the Vancouver Canadians in honor of Canada Day, which I think this episode will air on.
And tomorrow. I am wearing a Star Wars shirt that has nothing to do with Canada, except I bought it in Canada. What a great country.
Right. Let's be fair. Exactly. So, yeah, no, all is good. Looking forward to this one. Continuing our Genosha exploration, getting a sense more of, again, a topic, topic that has popped up in multiple iterations media-wise of, especially visually the show. And even the movies a little bit. So excited to talk a little more about this.
Me too. And I'm just going to kind of embrace the idea that there is an entire nation with a government that the rest of the world doesn't know about.
Right. I was going to talk about that.
Just, I prefer that they just introduce this country we've never heard of before.
Yes.
Rather than make it so that like two dimensions have merged, and with it comes a city in a upside down set of values that, cause conflict for our characters. Yeah. I'm totally cool with it. It's just like, we've never heard this before. They've kept it off the grid.
Right.
Yes. With their abilities.
Right.
Yeah. And cool cover too. I dig. Here, I'm going to bring that down add that to the stage, so to speak.
Yeah.
I like the idea of it being like an old hunting photo.
Yep.
And I like the way the characters are rendered. Like, he draws costumes that are beat up really well.
Yep.
And I dig these character designs for a bunch of goons. I come from that world of stormtroopers and Cobra troopers, and those sort of, and I guess foot troopers or whatever, foot ninja. Just those kind of faceless or semi-faceless characters in a one-size-fits-all kind of uniform with some characteristics. So I like the visor, earpiece, helmet thing, and chunky gun, chunky boots. I think that's a fun-looking vibe, and I wouldn't mind an action figure or two or three of these guys, truthfully.
Well, yeah, especially as we get to know them a bit more and get to really dislike them. And so it's you want them around so you can have your heroes just beat them up.
Yeah,
take them out. And also, we had chatted about, we want more Wolverine Rogue adventures, and this is basically what we get. We get the Wolverine Rogue solo with their, especially their power sets being pretty complementary to each other.
Definitely.
In a 2-person mission type thing.
Yes, it's very cool. Yeah. And, the apparatus they're hanging from, it evokes a lot. It's an evocative image, right? And it makes me think of some things that are pretty dark, and that is not normal for an X-Men comic. And then there's the bullets or the couple shell casings there. It's kind of dramatic, and it's an enticing thing to read. Just talking about Rogue's colors on this one, we've got sort of the two greens again.
Yeah,
I really dig the idea of her having the black, I guess, unitard or whatever, and then these two different greens as her palette. I think that's excellent. And I kind of wish still they had stayed with it. And I'm always tempted to get myself like a custom Rogue figure in the Jim Lee style, but with the two greens.
Yeah, I also like, again, talking about Silvestri's artwork, like even, we've chatted about, how anatomically how strong he can be. And even in these poses with their hands tied behind their backs, they look great.
Yeah. He's really good.
Yeah.
Want to open it up?
Should we get in it? All right, here we go. Oh, it says Magistrates 2, Mutants 0, by the way.
Yes.
On the cover.
I just want to play Ninja Turtles when I see that.
I know. It's such a great game.
Stan Lee presents Busting Loose. This is the Citadel, headquarters of the Genoshan State Security, starring the Uncanny X-Men. I'm going to go full screen on these guys here. There we go. Rogue and Wolverine have just arrived. As is plain to see, they are not terribly pleased to be here. I love the dude getting, like, knocked cold.
Oh, yeah.
The way his body is, like, straight back as Wolverine smacked him with a right hook.
And we confirmed, remember, when you go in this boom, when you transfer to Genosha,
yes,
your clothes don't travel with you.
Right.
For some reason. And they're here and they're naked.
Yeah, it's a good composition too to hide all the bits and bobs. It works really well. Like it doesn't feel too staged.
No,
it feels still quite organic in the way that the characters are all laid out. And my issue that I have in front of me, and the one that is scanned in as we're projecting on the screen here, they are both very similar in how much the color plates are off.
Right,
we're all off register. So even in Rogue's hair or especially Wolverine's sideburns are like all the way onto his face.
Oh,
like
that
blue
the color is just it's like bled onto it.
Yeah, well, they just would have cut those like acetates kind of very poorly, so that it's not very accurate at all. Look at there's also one of the guys, the magistrates on the far left. If you look at that guy's left leg, you can see like,
oh yes,
that magenta is just totally off register.
He's glowing.
Yes. Yeah. It's one of the neat parts about these old issues is that sometimes it doesn't line up perfectly. And the more you zoom in, the less accurate it is. But it actually creates a little bit of an impression. Like it kind of creates sometimes the unintentional illusion of movement and a little bit of blur. And there's something, I don't know, kind of, I mean, I guess to use the Bob Ross happy accident thing, like sometimes it does create a little bit of additional artistry or like leaves an impression. And sure. I'm down for it. I take the good with the bad. Chris Claremont writer, Marc Silvestri penciler, Dan Green inker, Petros Gotezi is colorist. Now we've seen Petra on this book once before at least. Okay. And usually we have Glynis Oliver on for the entire run, and it's neat to see a second colorist here. And this could be because there are multiple books coming out each month, right? So it might be that the annual and the early October book, and maybe Glynis is doing more than one title every month. So who knows what is the reason we have Petros Gotezi on this. But let's see if it becomes a pattern or if it is just a one-off thing. And a long-standing letterer, Tom Orzechowski, who, again, has been here the entire time, as it seems. Bob Harris has been the editor for the last few issues. And Tom DeFalco, it says magistrate. Now, given that they are slavers,
right, you may not want to.
It's not a good look.
Not a good one, Tom.
But I get the tongue-in-cheek,
of course,
joke that the team would have put on the book, calling him essentially a slave driver or slave owner or whatever by calling him that. And it's intended in good fun, a little passive aggression,
A little bit. Who are they? Where do they come from?
Don't know, sir. Pipeline of the press gang just mowed him in from Australia.
Why didn't he use a sedate program first?
He did, sir. It didn't take. Our stunners aren't doing much good either.
There's only 2 of them, for heaven's sake. We outnumber the muties better than 10 to 1.
Ain't enough, sir.
Fall back! Seal the doorway! All right, so in this one, just again, because we had the introduction of the magistrates in the last issue, we weren't quite, but they also had mutants working for them, so we weren't quite sure what the relationship was. We have our Genoshan histories from other media, But in this one, you know, when the magistrates are saying the muties, then you know that then the relationship isn't good between
Yes, it is very
mutants
loaded
and
language.
human magistrates, right?
Yeah. It is loaded language. There's a massive class and rights difference
Yes.
between the two so far. We have seen that there are super powered people who work as magistrates, right? Like Pipeline
and Knockout. Mike Tyson's Knockout.
MT Knockout, and Hawkshaw, I think. But we don't know much more than that. They use the term gene joke also as derogatory term, and that comes up a couple times. We'll hear in the near future. Appears they want to lock us in.
All things considered, Wolvie, I'd rather not stick around to see what comes through when they reopen it.
Sounds good to me, darling.
I don't hear anything.
Where are the reinforcements?
On their way.
Hey, maybe they decided to give up.
Guess again.
That's omnium steel, a foot thick. Those blades cutting through like paper. Holy mother! What do they do to flesh?
Our only chance. Blast them as they come through. With everything we've got. Hey, nice crowd. First they kidnap you, and then they can't wait to kill you. Wish I knew why.
Rogue Wolverine! See, Jenny? I told you they'd come rescue us.
Madeline? So this is where she and that nurse got to.
We must have been zapped here. Wherever the blazes that is. The same way.
Cute stunt leaving our clothes behind the process. Out y'all come, ladies.
You're going nowhere, Gene Joe.
That word sounds like an insult, fella. By the way, y'all should be careful about who you get grabby with. Can cost you. I'm absorbing their psyches. No powers, though. These are normal folks. That upper on that page, that second page, that top right panel is great with the cut and then her pushing it through.
Yeah.
So again, this Wolverine Rogue team up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This has like episode 1, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon.
Yes.
I want to get them against all those guards.
Yes.
All those the droid army, whatever, and how he cuts that circle later as he's getting through to the bridge. But yeah, them against a bunch of faceless goons. It reminds me.
But it's Omnium or whatever.
Yeah, Omnium.
Omnium, whatever that
Omnium
is.
Steel.
Yeah. We're someplace called Genosha, partner. And these rowdies are the local Gestapo. Call themselves magistrates.
Hardly Gestapo, my dear. Genosha is a free country. We magistrates enforce the law, know full well how to deal with the likes of you.
Bam. Nice try, Grandpa. But it'll take more than a Lucasfilm light show to put us down.
Actually, child, I prefer to be called by my nom de guerre, Wipeout. For reasons which have just now, I suspect, become painfully apparent. It's my favorite song on iTunes or Apple Music, and it's also where I spend most of my time wiping my own backside. My family calls me Grandpa Wipeout.
Grandpa Wipeout.
Whatever your parahuman abilities were, those so-called superpowers, I've erased.
So, one thing that when I met this character, I read this for the first time again today as well, and I'm like, I'm an old grandpa named Wipeout. Yeah, great. You got always an interesting power set of someone who can basically leech or steal or remove or negate the powers of however it works, for however time it works. But it feels like the names of these characters, Wipeout, Punch Out, who's the comms guy? Pipeline. It feels like the names are getting worse.
The call signs in X-Men. Let's add the Brood, the recent Brood to them. Right. And there's a track record of just some awful
whip arms or whatever, Like it feels, it feels, and not to say that one can make an argument like, well, Wolverine didn't actually sound cool at the time, or Colossus didn't, or Storm, but actually,
you are wrong, sir.
I agree. I think they're better names, and so this seems to me bleed. And I don't know if this is indicative of where comics is going, but the Silvestri stuff, the Image stuff is around the corner, and a lot of the Image teams have literal names, like, to a point where it's almost, it really feels really sounds, I should say, it sounds really silly to hear it on the ear, right?
Sure.
Like, my name's Punch Out because I punch things. Okay. I'm Wipe Out because I can wipe out your powers. Okay. Right? Like, it just,
yes.
It's lacking that level of creativity. And I don't know if he's just burned out and coming up with names. I don't know.
I think he also doesn't care. I think it's like
right.
Mad Libs.
Yeah.
And he's just doing the 2-syllable sort of game. Everyone is just named Bing Bong in various ways.
Right.
And it's been a stretch of that for a few issues now. And I do like where a character's name maybe is from an experience we don't really know. Like, I don't know why you're called that, but what it means is that every character gets their name after they've demonstrated their power in battle, and that's the only reason they have that name.
Right.
It's like if a character was named Top Dog, you're like, oh, you must be the man in charge. And you're like, no, it's because I have a dog on top of my head.
Right.
Like, oh,
right.
Like a
good example of that, where it works really well in the opposite, in the sense of like not having a literal, not having demonstration powers. It's like the Hellfire Club, where like it's just Shaw and Leland.
Right.
And right, but like it's not Leland Gravity Controller or Shaw Energy Absorber, right? Like
his
it's just
Weight Compressor.
Compressor. Exactly.
Yeah, sometimes
R.I.P. Leland, by the way. R.I.P.
Sometimes it very much is on the nose with those older characters too. So I mean, but I also like the days of where it's playing with the word, like Magneto.
Yeah, that's what
instead
I mean.
of being called, Metal Stick. Like, all right, yeah, we can make things stick to metal. Like, you're like a magnet. But they're playing with the word. There's a little bit of fun there. I don't mind a mix of a guy's, a proper name once in a while.
Yeah.
Or like I said, something maybe unrelated to their power set.
Yeah.
I'm cool with that. But I'm also, I'm way deep in G.I. Joe stuff.
Sure.
Where you get some characters where their name is like they're big, so they call them Roadblock. Like, gotcha. But he is the heavy machine gunner. So his name wasn't Machine Gun.
Wasn't Heavy Machine Gunner. Yeah.
Or 50 cal. His name is Roadblock. Then you get a guy whose name is Flint, and it's like a personality characteristic, not the fact that he's a warrant officer or whatever. And so sometimes the names are Quick Kick, which is really on the nose.
Yeah.
Other times a guy's name can be a little bit more
Snake Eyes. Like Snake Eyes, right? I mean,
yeah. You have no idea what it's.
You have no idea.
Connote there. Yeah, some of them are fun, and some of them are terrible, like Zap.
Like Wipeout. Yeah.
Wow, Wipeout. So I'd like to think of him as Wilford Brimley.
Oh yeah. Oh, you'd be better if he said diabetes instead of child. I'll take your powers with the powers of diabetes.
I also, up until I think maybe 5 minutes ago, totally thought this character was a priest.
It looks like it.
I thought he was a priest. The only panel I ever looked closely at was the one where he's using his power. Right. And I'm like, oh, he's a priest who like believes that, mutants are against God kind of thing.
Sure.
I didn't realize that it's just a black uniform and he has medals on his his lapel there.
But it comes off that way. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. All right.
How's your freedom stick, by the way?
Oh, it's
okay, moving on. Elsewhere on the island.
Hello, Dr. Moreau. This is Magistrate Headquarters. Hello. Hello?
Engineer?
No, this is his son. Dad, Your office just called. Emergency at the Citadel. Chief Magistrate sending a car.
Blast. I've never had a decent day in this garden.
No rest for the wicked, huh?
As the Americans say, with great power comes great responsibility.
And no days off.
I'm sorry, Philip. I know you were looking forward to our...
It's Phil, Dad. No one says Philip these days. Hey, no problem. I'm used to it. It must be serious if you're going to work dressed for gardening.
From all accounts, it is. Philip, is anything the matter? You seem troubled.
You keep calling me Philip. It's Phil. That's what's the matter, Dad. Nothing that won't keep. Go on, Dad. You have your job. I have clicks to run before classes. We can talk tonight.
Take care, son.
You too. Have a nice day.
Garden hurt.
Typical magistrate style. Never use a driveway when you can trash someone's yard. Fix it, will you, boy?
Fix good, boss. Fix good as new.
Oof. All right.
Is this the first time we've seen them in that?
Yeah, and they're numbered. Yes, I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is.
It is evocative, you know.
It is.
Yeah, that is an evocative visual. The head shaved, tattooed across the forehead.
Yep.
Yeah. It can be, if one understands, like, it can be a pretty heavy thing to be talking about in an X-Men comic. I'm game for it, but to me, like, if you're gonna go heavy, some of the things have to be heavy too. Like maybe the context of the entire comic, maybe that's like as a graphic novel set in a different world, you know. But when you connect this to, let's say, a summer softball tournament at the X Mansion,
right?
It comes off a little trite.
Yes.
But I'm game for, again, X-Men have not shied away from heavier topics in the past.
No.
Which we have not covered on the channel, but God Loves, Man Kills.
Right.
It's some pretty heavy stuff. So this is probably like the best superhero comic to start to go into these larger international, generational tragedies. Anyway, yeah, it's probably best suited for it of superhero comics. That being said, in a matter of minutes, the car reaches the heart of Hammer Bay on the island's west coast, Genosha's capital, sometimes called the most dynamically modern city on Earth. Called so much that no one's ever heard of this country before.
Right. So this is what, going back to your point, like, how is it that this thing exists in this ability, modern time, technological wonder, whatever this city is, and it's not even referenced at all.
So from Star Trek, I got introduced to the idea of some planets being xenophobic.
Okay.
And not having any permitted contact with outside species. So like that notion on its own makes sense to me. The fact that they are, a white English speaking country.
Yeah.
That has no relation to any of the other white English speaking countries. That one is probably where it's, a little too far for me. Like, I don't believe that.
Right.
We have to just suspend our disbelief and imagine that they've
yeah.
always had a closed border. They're kind of Wakanda.
Well, that's the one that I keep thinking of as a comparable in certain spaces, is the Wakanda thing.
And Wakanda really worked in the modern version, like in the movies, because it was set up from the beginning as a country that no one knew about. I haven't gone back and read recently in the last couple of years when they go to Wakanda for the first time, but it actually made way more sense from the Western point of view that they could walk through Eastern and Central Africa and come across a city or a nation that the West didn't really know anything about.
Right.
That worked. But this case is, I guess they're just imagining it's far enough away, not far from Australia, I guess, that there's just another island that no one really talked about.
Hey, I think too, I just noticed something on our little guy's shirt there. It's, I think GSU, I think it's Genosha State University, maybe.
Sure.
And I'm going to say it's too bad there's not a line with those bastards from Genosha A&M.
All right, let's go through it. Here we go. Situation, Chief.
A moderate mess, but under control. Evidently, the press gang ran afoul of a group of super beings, possibly Australian heroes. Caught up in a net, we cast for the ransom girl and the escapee baby.
Well, I thought you was a ransom gorilla.
But a gorilla.
I thought the press gang were your best operatives for precisely the reason that Genosha cannot afford this sort of botch-up.
And I, engineer, told you from the start there are no guarantees, especially on covert operations.
This female character has a very manly voice.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
My people did the best they could. The intruders were contained and now in custody.
By the way, if you want to slowly transition into doing a more feminine voice,
Nope.
Nobody will notice.
Nope. I'm sticking with it.
She can be like, and then
yeah. Oh, thank you for that. Thank you for that cough lozenge.
I want to look at them. Patch me into the surveillance cameras of their cells.
We can't.
I beg your pardon.
Whoever they are, they're invisible to our scanners. They can be seen with the naked eye, but no other way.
A fascinating conundrum, eh, Chief?
For myself, Dr. Moreau, I'd as soon Hawkshaw and his press gang had left these people where they found them.
Also, calling him Dr. Moreau is obviously a reference to the island of Dr. Moreau.
Starring Val Kilmer.
Starring Marlon Brando.
And Val Kilmer.
I never watched it.
Neither did I, but you're right. He was Moreau, wasn't he? Yeah.
I'm assuming.
Brando was, yeah. Also, yeah, so Moreau there, which I believe is H.G. Wells.
Oh, cool. But also...
Or is it Robert Louis Stevenson? It's one of the two. Might be H.G.
I don't know, but also South Park.
Also South Park.
So for those of you who have watched some South Park, there's... Actually, the first episode I ever saw was the one where they go to the farm that was the island of Dr. Moreau.
Right.
And there was the scientist who was like a satirization of Brando at that point in time. His voice was doing a parody of Brando. His clothing.
A monkey with 4 asses.
And they wanted to combine a pig, a potbelly pig, and elephant. But as everyone knows, pig and elephant DNA just don't splice.
Didn't you have to get the elephant drunk or the pig drunk or something?
They had to get them to mate, so they get them drunk.
You get them drunk, yeah.
I saw that episode on TV, not knowing what that show was, with family at like a high holiday dinner. And me, my brother, my 2 cousins lost our minds laughing. And I was, I'm in.
Yeah. I remember, just on that tangent, I remember that first episode of South Park. And I don't know why I watched it. Like, they clearly advertised it on something.
On Fox.
And then it was like, coming up next. This.
It was like on after Frasier.
Right. And I remember watching, it was like the aliens. And then I remember laughing so hard. And then the next day at school being like, did everyone get that? Did everyone watch that? Yeah.
Yeah, it was on. I'm saying that now. I'm thinking like Frasier was on NBC and that was on Fox at first, I believe. But maybe the time slot it was on was, like 9:30 or something. It was on early enough. Yeah, it was nuts. So, who the devil are they?
Good question. We don't know. We haven't been able to identify them. They're not in our native computer net, and every time we try to interface with an overseas database, private, public, government, wide open, or totally secured, we get a null response. The Computex theorize a virus program in operation. So incredibly sophisticated, we can't even begin to isolate it. Further, it erases every reference, no matter how slight, to our prisoners. Worse, they suspect our inquiries have infected our own systems.
By the way, that's awesome.
Yeah.
If the X-Men have that, where like everywhere you try and figure out who they are, your computer's being eaten from the inside. Like, that's great.
Right.
This also reminds me of a scene that you and I have in like our first comic, where characters are walking down a hallway of a prison cell block, and I could have used the insights provided here by Silvestri and Green. Would have helped me a lot. This is good. I don't like the sound of that at all.
Nor I.
Chief, that girl, what's wrong with her?
She's been like that ever since her capture. I'm afraid some of my officers took a few liberties when she was being processed. What they thought was fun, she evidently felt was something else. Those responsible have been disciplined. It won't happen again.
If it does, Chief Anderson, you'll answer for it. Now, holy smokes, the implication there is a very particular, terrible four-letter word of a kind of assault.
Yes, it is.
Sexual nature that we're not going to talk about on the show with that word specifically. But, you know, again, you can imagine being 12 years old and seeing that this has happened to Rogue, that she's been assaulted and violated, you know, without her powers. And she is probably in the worst state maybe she's ever been in her entire life.
Right.
And it just took a hard left turn, you know, into some of the darkest places for this character particularly. Yeah, let's touch base again with this when the story comes back to that thread in a moment.
Sure.
Pretty awful. I'm surprised to read this now and see that happening.
Agreed.
I thought your people were professionals.
They're human. They're fallible. Hawkshaw's fallen reports indicate these two are part of a larger team.
Which means their companions may well be looking for them and eventually be coming to their rescue.
My staff views that as a virtual certainty.
I understand some magistrates were captured by Australian authorities in that engagement.
One thing I just want to point out too, you know, this whole issue has been evocative of a number of things. And if you take a look at and I could be reading into this, but you know what, based on what we've seen so far, maybe I'm not too far off. But you look at that first panel when they're talking to each other face to face, and you see the insignia on her arm is a lightning bolt.
Sure.
Right. And that's very common for certain regiments of the Nazi army during World War II as well, with that particular imagery as well. So, you know, again, we've already come across some comparable evocative imagery, and they're just really sticking to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
The press gang's already working, sir, to bring them home. The other thing too, and I don't think did they call them the press gang in the issue before? I'm not sure.
I think so.
Okay, because a press gang is, you know, it was a naval. Often it was a government naval, like, you know, let's say the British Navy, the French Navy would find either you know, folks who deserted or not even deserted, just people who were the right age and right look, who might not have anyone to look out for them. And they would just literally take them back to their ships and press them into naval service, right? Like no rights, no anything, right? They would come ashore and you'd have to hide from the press gang, right? So that's again, also part of this.
I've never heard that before. That's really fascinating. Does that go back hundreds of years?
Yeah, I mean, big time, like the era of mass sales.
Yeah, like so, Napoleonic Wars.
Yeah, and a little bit before that, like, you know, the pirate stuff, or what, you know, what sanctioned piracy was called, privateering, by the various governments. But yeah, that may be 200, 300 year span, 1500, 1800 ish, where this is something that happened. And especially so if you maybe deserted or you had finished your service, didn't really matter. If a press gang came looking and thought that you could fit a job on a ship, maybe you weren't in the right position or didn't have the right support or weren't the right type of person to be able to find support, didn't have enough wealth, whatever.
Right, you didn't have enough to bribe them away.
You got it. You could be pressed into service and take. There's stories. I mean, it's not stories. It's history. It's common that like guys who would have finished their term, their 20-year term, would be on shore and they get pressed back into it.
Right.
Which is a terrible, crazy thing to think
about. That is brutal. That's brutal.
Yeah.
But fascinating.
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't honestly. I don't. Maybe if they said it in the last issue, I didn't really think about it. But they said it. They said it a lot in this issue.
Yes.
So I started thinking about it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sydney, capital of New South Wales, one of the 7 states that comprise the Australian nation. Barely a day after the pitched battle between the X-Men and that aforementioned cadre of Genoshan magistrates.
A lot of cops on duty tonight. Lots of mess punch out for them to clean up.
Hey, Hawkshaw, you sure this is the right place?
Relax, Pipeline. Have I ever led you wrong?
Did you see those officers when we were processed? Looking at us like we were criminals.
In their eyes, Deputy, we are.
I didn't become a magistrate to rot in some foreign jail simply for doing my job. Look!
The wall!
They're mutants. They're the mutants we fought. As usual, my friends, Gateway has teleported us precisely where we needed to go. Where we need to go. You here to finish us off, Gene Joke? Do not tempt me. That word, Gene Joke, I do not like it. Makes us even. I don't like you. Good. That will make this more pleasant. I require information about our missing friends. I won't talk. You will not have to. Psylocke, he's yours. Storm leads the X-Men. Psylocke is the team's telepath. That means she reads minds. I love the fear in this guy's eyes as Betsy locks on. And you and I have talked about liking this graphic. Like
really
this idea that she has that butterfly
really like
hold. It just, in this case, it looks like someone, like she's put her hands right on the guy's brain.
It provides a graphic signpost for her power set, right? Like other than like putting her fingers on her head and saying, "I'm reading minds." When you see this around someone's head, or when she silenced the team and this is there, it's just such more of a tangible piece.
Yeah, it becomes shorthand in comic.
Yeah, it does
for what's going on, and it allows us in this case to see that look on his face. There is probably a way to even heighten it, and it's to use those color holds. So some of the lines that are done in brush, you do in brush, but you do them, with maybe red ink, and then they put a cyan, or no, in this case, a magenta overlay. Mm-hmm. So it looks like it has no hard line around it. It's just sort of like the hologram of it, but they don't do that. But in modern comics, there wouldn't be an outline to it. It would just be done only in color and really good looking, but they didn't do it here. It would have been cool.
Would have been great. Yeah.
And no, I'm not going to do that in my spare time. Moving on. Wrench of dislocation, casting of self into shadow, dancing gaily on the edge of an infinite abyss.
Oh, Claremont.
What's that?
I said, oh, Claremont.
Oh, Claremont. I do like seeing white letter like that. It's a neat change. We're in the darkness of things. It's good. Psychic armor wrapped as tightly about her consciousness as its physical counterpart is about her body. There are defenses easily bypassed. Fear traveling hand in hand with wonder as she marvels at her mutant ability to touch another's innermost being, while simultaneously dreading to the depths of her soul what she'll find there. So we see kind of her butterfly.
Yeah. Traveling through the mind.
through the depths, and then there's like a moment where we see, I see someone whipping a slave.
Yeah.
Right? The character on the far right, has a giant whip in their right hand and a gun. We see a character probably on their knees with hands behind the back getting whipped. We see
family being torn apart, looks like.
Yeah, a woman being dragged away by her hair.
Yep.
Pretty dramatic stuff. We see all those, a series of emaciated heads with a number tattooed on their forehead.
Yep.
And it transitions over to a series of like a pile of skulls.
Mm-hmm.
We see a doctor electrocuting or using electric equipment to do. I'm just projecting here, experimenting on
a
figure who's strapped to a table, and a series of soldiers. Evocative image. Like I'm getting obviously lots of combination of the state of slavery in the U.S. combined with like Dr. Mengele and the Holocaust and in Eastern Europe. Like it's pretty strong stuff. Butchers! May you rot for what you've done.
No!
May you burn.
Mercy.
And what you have shown, magistrate, you so-called upholder of the law, to the mutants you've enslaved and tortured and slain?
Psylocke, stop, for pity's sake. Would you kill these men?
No, Colossus. That would be too quick, too easy. Elizabeth, what of our friends? I've all we need to know. But based on what I've learned, we've precious little time to save them. We may already be too late. For your sake, Genoshans, pray we are not. And the gateway portal just opens up.
Yep.
And off they go.
Yep. Which again, coming to this era of X-Men new, and not really understanding, or not just being unfamiliar with Gateway as a character and the portals, and then they also have to kind of learn how it works. And now we're a few issues in where it's now working kind of like clockwork. And Storm even mentioned it, right? Like again, Gateway has gotten us to the exact point we need to be. I love this idea. They're portaling in and out. Like they're just right. They're striking. They're coming in and out. They're getting the information, then they're going to the next place.
I think I just need maybe even a 2-pager,
right?
In some issue where Storm sits down, Betsy sits down, and they're like opposite Gateway. They bring some fresh fruit and some food and stuff, and they have a moment where they just link up with him and come to a kind of a peace and a consensus, and have a meaningful moment where we get the sense that there isn't an issue there,
right? And we get the sense he's part of the team.
Yes, that he is cool with their agenda and their mission.
Right.
Or he's reluctant about it. Meanwhile, way to go, Punch-Out. Subtle as the day is long.
Next time, Skinny, how about I put you through the wall instead of my fist? Put a socket at both of you. Quicker we find our peepees, quicker we'll get out of here.
Roughly 1,500 miles west by north, atop the promontory overlooking this desolate, long-abandoned outback town, Gateway spins his bull roarer, opening a portal between here and there, and brings the X-Men home. To rejoin the rest of the team, explanations are briefly made, and our heroes are off again.
All right,
Once more, Gateway is alone, and silence claims his desert. But beneath its eternal sands, the computer center that is in many ways the heart of this sprawling secret complex, things are happening.
Hello. I am Nastirn. Sim told me to get in touch with you regarding some special merchandise you're interested in, but since you're not about, I'll ring back later. Have a nice day.
The idea that this demon, or whatever
this is,
like uses this telecom system and has like the manners of phone etiquette. I find that kind of funny.
Yes.
And a little weird, but
and a little unsettling.
Oh, definitely.
Definitely unsettling. Yeah.
Like, have a nice day. Yeah, I like, I often do this when we talk about demons. I bounce over to Hellboy talk.
Sure.
I like that sometimes the demons are very much socialized.
Right.
In, maybe some like British culture, and they have a little bit of slang, like as if they've been sitting in a pub or outside for 400 years.
Like like observing humanity.
Yeah, they're kind of they've spent time doing these things. They get it.
That's
true. So they have those elements. In this, it feels weird. In Hellboy, it works just fine.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Genosha.
Pick him up and set him down. Pick him up and set him down. One more circuit, and shower, and Brecker, and whoa! Magistrates, a fast reaction strike team. But I've never seen one before in this neighborhood. No, this is nuts. I'm hallucinating. It can't be. That's Jenny's house. Those are her folks. They're arresting her whole family? Hey, what is this? What's going on? What are you doing?
Police business, son. Move along now. There's a good lad. This is no concern of yours.
But this is wrong. It has to be a mistake. I know. These people. Mr. Ransom's a government minister.
Before we go further, so he calls him lad, and the kid says the word Brecker.
Yeah.
Are we now to think that we should be reading these guys with British accents?
Or Australian.
Or Australian, or whatever our version of Australian is.
Or whatever our version of Australian is, which turns out it's Genoshan.
Some sort of Genoshan accent. But Brecker is definitely...
Brecker.
Brecker.
Brecker. So we're now reading them like Clone Force 99.
Right.
Rika.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. But government minister suggests constitutional monarchy as opposed to republic. So.
Oh, dude, look at you.
Did that go? There you go.
Constitutional monarchy.
Like, there's no ministers of anything in like the United States. There's like department heads, right?
Yeah.
The minister is very much like a
agreed
Commonwealth type thing. Yeah.
I agree with you.
Is Genosha in the Commonwealth? Or were they in the Commonwealth again?
Have they been like one of our allies all along? we didn't know.
Are they in NATO? They better not. Oh, jeez.
Oh, my God.
Oh, my goodness.
Well, we're magistrates, boy, and nobody is above the law. Not ministers, and especially not smart-mouthed punks too stupid to do as they're told.
Ow!
You interfere with officers in this lawful exercise of their authority, you best be prepared to pay the price.
Are you crazy, Jan?
Thank you for that.
Okay.
Just giving this muty lover a long overdue lesson. No harm in that, eh?
Idiot! I recognize that boy. He's the engineer's son. Engineer's son. he was going to hit me.
Hey, youngster, I didn't know. I'm really sorry. Nothing personal. It's just we've got a job to do. It's awful tough sometimes. People don't understand. But you do, right? No hard feelings? Hey, anything you need, anything. You want to bury a body, you want to go out one night, you call old buddy Jay over here. I mean, hey, anything you need, anything I can do, just name it. Be my pleasure. Just don't tell your dad about our little encounter or pretend it never happened, okay? Not to worry, kid. I'll make it really good for you. Really worth your while. Kid. Hey, kid. Please. It wasn't personal. I was only following orders.
Oh, and there's that line.
Yeah. That was
following orders.
And now one note here in that page,
mm-hmm.
top right panel, the last line, he says, no harm in that, eh?
Oh.
Maybe they're Canadians.
Jeez.
And we got to be using Canadian accents.
Oh, ain't no problem, Daddy. Just give him this hoser a long overdue lesson, eh?
The Citadel, Magistrate Headquarters. All they did, oh God, all they did was touch her. Rude hands, ruder glances, taunting promises of worse to come. she couldn't stop them. For so long, she dreamt. Or was it dreamed?
Dreamed.
Yeah, for so long, she dreamed of being able to touch another person without her power absorbing his or her psyche, to hold, to caress, to kiss, just like any other normal teenage girl. In those dreams, it was the most beautiful of moments. She never imagined being handled against her will. Small wonder, then, her response is to withdraw as deeply into her mind as it's possible to go, to the lowest depths of her primal subconsciousness, or primal subconscious. I feel like I should read all those signs to see if there's anything in there we know. But it's Metro and whatnot. She goes to the grocery store known as Metro.
Yeah. Yeah. So as one thing I think, get a little more, I don't know, information, I suppose, about what has happened. Could be without us playing the guessing game. Obviously, there's a violation. But the other thing too, that as I'm reading this and as I read it, is I had never heard of this happening to Rogue. I'm not in deep on X-Men, as we all know, but I've never heard of this particular event. And so my fear about this event, or my worry of this event, aside from obviously the having that being with a character and really getting to know and love a character and then have them go through a traumatic event, is that I don't. Is this a one-off? Does this come back? Does this right? Like, is this just for this issue? And if it is, it feels really callous just to have this happen, because you can really. I mean, every character will have. There's layers of response to like violation, and with Rogue, you can go multiple places. Whether it's the fact she's the strongest member of the team. What does that mean? That she's a woman, right? Like in terms of like then having her powers stripped and being how they say handled, right? Where of course that would never happen previously, but also the fact that she does yearn for human touch because she can't have it. So again, there's a lot of layers here which could be dealt with in a delicate manner. I just am hoping, I don't want this to be like suddenly we don't hear about this ever.
Right.
I don't know. You know what I mean? That's all.
You want it to be a defining characteristic of her.
Well, I want it to be something like if you're going to throw this in there, right?
Yeah.
Then you need to have follow-up where either there's more information about it. We are working with her as the reader through these things, these traumatic events. That's all. Because to throw it in for shock value.
Yeah, that's cheap.
Is shitty. Is what I'm getting at. Yeah.
Sure. I agree with you 100% there. The only part I disagree with you about is you saying that you don't go deep in X-Men. Dude, you've read 174.
True. Back in past. True. Yeah. True. We've spent 3 years talking about X-Men at some point.
Yes.
Anyway, that's yeah, that's my thought. That's when I was those are the feelings I was having when I was reading this.
For sure.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
No problem. Cheesy neighborhood. Thought I had more class.
Sweet Norns. See who's come to visit. Remember us, dearie?
All the people I ever absorbed, but that effect is only temporary. How can y'all still be inside my head?
Stolen powers and memories fade, Liebchen. But there's a psychic residue.
Okay, so we've got Loki. We've got Nightcrawler, Captain America. There's a Thor.
Yeah.
Juggernaut.
Yeah.
Who's the one who says, remember us, dearie?
Dire Wraith.
Oh, it's a Dire Wraith. Okay.
That's what I think.
Okay, all right.
Sort of like scar tissue that you'll never be rid of. We're all part of you, Gene Joke.
No!
And now thou hast lost thy powers and become vulnerable. We can't wait to tear you to bits.
Oh, that's Spiral, eh? Looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It looks almost like I actually read that. First time reading is that she's almost trapped metallically, like about her bottom torso, like the way
100%.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's caused by the placement of that word balloon cuts off part of spiral and also creates what it's called a tangent. So the line Rogue's. I mean, on our looking at the panel, it's Rogue's left hip.
Yes.
Lines up exactly with the bottom half of that word balloon, creating the look that her hip continues downward in that shape, onto that like a metallic kind of bottom half. But it's
like a
Dalek bottom just half. Fix it. You have to move the word balloon over. And then it's not a problem.
Fix it, X-Men. Do it. Jeez.
Now I think you should read the next character's voice.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, of course. You phantoms want her? You'll have to deal with me first. Carol Danvers, but those others they're like ghosts. You're solid as me. They're residual memories, psychic leftovers. I'm real. I don't know if I can ever forgive you for what you did to me, but we're both of us stuck inside your head for the rest of your life. What hurts you hurts me, and I won't have that. Especially with Wolverine in danger as well. I can help, Rogue. This is my kind of caper, if you'll let me. You want to take over? I have to. And afterwards, what's to prevent you staying in charge? I'd be within my rights. You stole my powers, memories, personality, permanently from my rightful body, as much as murdered me. Why shouldn't I take control of yours? I didn't mean to. It was an accident. I only meant it to be temporary like the others, but things got out of hand. You fought too hard. I was fighting for my life. There's no other way, Rogue. You'll have to trust me.
And then
Alpha Flight.
Yep, I see him. You get Rogue's eyes open too.
Yeah, Rogue's eyes open.
In a different, like, not a scared face. She's
ready. And we have North Star. I think we've got a Havoc up there.
Yeah.
But this is a cool development, right? This is like this idea of we haven't seen the Carol Danvers fighting with Rogue, Rogue dealing with that for a while now. She seemed to have put that to past. But Carol Danvers is a heavy hitter as well. Obviously, Rogue, taking those powers. So you're right. Those eyes opening at the end there. It looks like I like it. I like this trajectory.
Me too.
Yeah.
There she is. On your feet, Jean Joke.
Poor baby. Looks like she's had a rough day. Surely breaks my heart.
Gene Engineered have our badges and butts. He knew what we were about.
He don't want you touched, but guess what? We don't care.
Remember us, skunk hair? You stole our minds before Wipeout nailed you. Now we're gonna get even. Don't bother screaming for help. The fix is in. All the monitors hereabouts are out of order. What?
How consider? I guess should this be? Maybe it's Danvers talking.
So that's where it's fun. That's why
that's right.
You should
because that makes a lot more sense now as I read the rest of the pages. Okay, here we go. Because now I know what's coming. Okay, how considerate. Remind me to thank the pair of you when I have the chance. 3 moves, 2 KOs in as many seconds. Nice to see I haven't lost my touch. So this outfit too, right? This like multicolored, I guess it's like prison outfit, right? With the numbers on and things. Yeah, interesting. And then this whole thing of like the monitors are off, no one's gonna see you. That's like a real, we've seen that archetype before.
Oh yeah, scumbags.
Yeah, it's total scumbags. And male and female too, by the way. Right.
Yes.
So right.
Yes. One quick change later. In the cell next door.
Wolverine. Up and at 'em, wild boy. Logan. I thought he was shamming, playing possum as I did, but he's really out. Logan.
Now There's a voice I never figured to hear again. You top psyche, Carol, in the kid's skull.
It seemed like a brilliant idea at the time. You look awful, chum.
I feel worse.
As soon as we're clear of this dump, I'll get you some help. You'll be fine.
You're lying, but I appreciate the thought. Leave me, Carol. I'm in no shape to travel. I'll only slow you down.
As I recall, I said much the same in that you rescued me from the KGB. You didn't listen then, and I'm not about to now.
This'll never work, Ace.
Against this crowd, how can't it?
They'll know we're gone simply from being able to see those two tied up dummies on their monitors when we're supposed to be invisible.
A calculated risk. What do you want to bet nobody notices? They'll see what they expect to see. Prisoners asleep in their cells and figure everything's fine.
You know, Ace, you got a real low opinion of our jailers.
They've earned it. Blast. Madeline's cell is empty.
So's that nurse's, Jenny Ransom. What now?
You stay. We're sure to be caught. We've got no choice. Where the blazes are they? What's happening to them?
Hate to say it, but I'm glad I don't know. Talking about this for a second.
Yeah.
Wolverine's powers, of course, are not on.
Right.
His healing factor is not helping him out.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure, like it's ambiguous whether his wounds have kind of caught up with him from life,
Right.
or if they kick the shit out of him.
Yes.
And
that too.
either way, I'm down with it.
Yeah.
Referencing, of course, that now Carol Danvers and Wolverine or Logan have a long past, where she is a SHIELD agent and he is, Canadian Secret Service, and they went on missions together.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is the first mention of it, but maybe there was something earlier, and I might have to go back. Maybe there was something back when Rogue and Wolverine go on their first little bit where he has a grudge against her, right? He might make mention of this. But I know as a kid, I was intrigued, of course, by the idea that Wolverine...
Woohoo!
As a kid, I was intrigued by the idea that Wolverine had previous missions before becoming a superhero.
Of course. Yeah.
I was just getting into James Bond in the mid-'80s, and that kind of thing was very cool to me. I don't know.
No, absolutely.
Needed that drink, pardon me. The Gene-Engineer's residence, the Gene-Engineer's study, where the Gene-Engineer's son isn't quite so lucky. Subject, Ransom, Jennifer Amelia, Codex Indent 9817. Genetic structural modifications to increase height, mass, upper body musculature, consistent with work orientation in heavy industry. Maximize epidermal resistance to heat and pressure.
No!
That's privileged information, Philip.
Dad, that's Jenny.
I know.
What's this all about? She's in Australia.
No longer. The press gang sent her home.
There's got to be some mistake. She can't be a mutant, Dad. We're practically engaged. Like third base, Dad.
Up the shirt or over the shirt, son? No mistake, Philip. No engagement. You know the law, son. I'm sorry. I don't know any gentle way to tell you. She's gene positive.
Okay, so now we're getting into this illness type approach, right?
Yeah.
People feeling that it is an illness when it's not, but still. No, she isn't. She isn't. We were both tested together. We both passed.
Her father betrayed his office. He switched Jenny's file with another girl's. And that girl died, Philip, during the modification process. That's where we learned the truth. The autopsy revealed she was normal. Philip, believe me, I understand a father's desire to protect his child, but not at the cost of another child's life, an innocent child. and no one is above the law, my son. That's why Ransom was arrested, and why Jenny must serve. She has a duty to the state, doubly so because of her father's crime. I know that sounds harsh.
You're changing her?
Sometimes that's necessary. Jenny possesses a latent empathy. Her offspring will most likely be healers. But we have a sufficiency in that field. What's needed are metal shapers for the mines and forges. My task is to restructure her genetic matrix so as to not only activate her power, but orient it in such a way that instead of bending flesh to her will, she'll cut through rock, shape stone, and steel.
Dad, please. I love her. You can't.
It's done.
I'll kill you.
That's pretty incredible.
It is pretty incredible. So now we've got a guy who's mixing up, he's playing around with genetics.
Yes,
which
makes engineering genes. Maybe
right.
They should call him Gene Engineer.
That's right. Which is giving me the Mr. Sinister vibes.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
Even though we don't know Mr. Sinister.
Even though we don't know Mr. Sinister. He was introduced only briefly.
Yes. And you know that there was he had a brother who was this guy, the Gene Engineer had a brother who was a redhead.
Ooh.
And you know what they called him?
Sparky?
No, they called him Ginger Engineer.
The Ginger Engineer, who likes ginger ale. I love it.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Leafs just re-signed Lawrence.
Yes, that's true. And when the Ginger Engineer needed to have his teeth changed,
yes,
he put in like a thing over his teeth to like really help them. So they then called him Ginger Engineer and Veneers.
Whew. Amazing. Incredible.
Meanwhile, back at the Citadel,
the ransom girl registers, but this other woman doesn't.
As far as our electronic metascanners are concerned, she doesn't exist. We'll have to examine her manually.
This creeps. There you are, milady. You're a difficult person to get a hold of. Oh, forgive me. Have I called at an inconvenient time?
Later.
Your slightest wish, milady, is my command.
Bachoom! Good Lord! I don't even know what happened there.
I don't even know what happened.
Like she's saying not now, and then he blows up the monitors?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
Because he's an interdimensional demon.
Sure. In the hangar bay, the lights are out.
From the way they're talking, the whole complex is a power failure. Let's roll, partner. We'll never have a better chance.
Hate to say it, Ace, but I don't think it's gonna be quite that easy.
These gluttons for punishment just don't know when to quit.
More courage than smarts.
You okay, partner?
Oh, my hand! Oh, my hand! Oh. Thanks to my bones, Punch hurt him way more than me. Been an age, though, since any normal fella knocked me down. Warned you, Ace. I'm too much a liability.
Only thing you're too much of, chum, is talk. Strap yourself in and we'll pull a Millennium Falcon out of this bargain basement Death Star. That's the second reference.
Yes.
Lucasfilm, right?
It is the third reference, and from my point of view, because I already think they made an episode 1 reference, 10, 11 years before that movie came out.
Of course.
So
there it is.
Yeah.
Pity it won't blow up behind us.
Maybe next time. Problem is making sure there is a next time. Magistrates hunt mutants for a living, and we're on their turf.
No worse a situation than when you smuggled me out of Mother Russia.
I had my powers then.
You'll get them back. We're pros, Logan. We'll adapt. We'll survive. And in the end, I guarantee We'll make these clowns regret they ever laid eyes on us.
Next, Hughes Human in 2 weeks.
I do love the Carol Danvers taking over the Rogue personality and going all special ops.
Yeah, it's like another set of powers for her.
Totally, and it's just shield stuff, it's spy stuff, but I dig it. Right, good with a gun, can fly a plane. Like
yeah.
I mean,
and can do stealth.
Totally.
Can you go one more page?
Oh yeah, there it is.
Double letters. That's fine. I did not read them. I've sort of kind of run out of minutes to kind of indulge in that. But we get an ad for Inferno.
Yeah, I know.
Sim, Mr. Sinister, Nastier, like
nastier,
like nasty,
like a nasty boy. I'm just a nasty boy.
Exactly.
Nice,
nasty.
like Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak Kid. I love it.
Sometimes good planning takes a lifetime.
Whew.
So they kicked that Sinister can down the curb a long time.
Sure did.
This crazy collared, armored wearing, weird Dracula Colossus looking dude.
Yep.
That I still don't know what to do with in my head canon.
Yep.
Inferno coming this fall in X-Men, X-Factor, and New Mutants. I have a hunch, my friend, we're going to have to find a way to cover Inferno in a broader sense than just the X-Men.
Gotcha.
Given that I do have the X-Factor comics.
Yeah.
That across, or at least a couple of them. I don't have any New Mutants, I think, but we should talk about the possibility of maybe see if we can cover some more Inferno more broadly. I think it'd be good for the channel.
Yeah.
And good for our souls.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So overall, what do you think of this issue? And then we can dip out. What'd you think?
Yeah, because it's almost dinner time around here. It was, again, as you shared my thoughts on the Rogue and the violence and the assaults. But overall, like these they're doing a really good job of making me hate the magistrates and hate Genosha, which is what as an antagonist, right? We the fact that they brought the Brood in as a second time, and you're kind of like, oh, it's a Brood again, and it was kind of fun. But now it's like this is a brand new threat. A lot of things don't seem to make sense, but we're learning as we go, and I'm excited for the X-Men to take down the entire country of Genosha.
Me too. I want them.
Right? I just want them taking them all down, all of them right down. I'm really curious, and I know we've seen Genosha in other ways, and freeing other mutants, and then mutants fight back, and all these kind of that. And now I just want to see these Genoshans get just gone.
Yeah, whatever happens to them in a bad way is fine.
Yeah, absolutely. Just despicable.
We're gonna have to find out in a week.
In a week.
237.
Okay.
And we'll see what happens to the gang and if they're able to, what kind of damage they can inflict upon these Genoshans.
Agreed.
And
Colossus.
where it takes it.
I want Colossus to go murder Colossus again. Okay, come on, Colossus.
Yeah, I want them to drop them out of a plane.
Oh, huge! How cool would that be?
Well, we'll get into it next week when we see next week's issue. And that brings us to the end of another episode. Thank you to my good buddy, writer of Group of 7 MO's Secret Tale and Peregrine's Flights, Fiends, and Fisticuffs, Chris Sanikin. You can find out more about our comics and upcoming appearances at group7comics.ca. That's, of course, the number 7. And follow us at Group of 7 Comics on social media. Please click like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and share with us your take on this issue or any X-Men comics in the comments section below. Go dig out your old back issues, trade paperbacks, essentials, omnibuses, DVD-ROMs, or hop on an app and read along with us next week on Previously in X-Men. Thank you, bubs, and stay X-y.